welcome back to Gorge for another casted game and for a highly requested one at that. So Falcon sent me this one and he told me he's been inundated with messages to do it because, as you can see, he's against the kid. So on the south side of Gorge in the pink we have my old mate, friend of the channel, Falcon as the HRE, and on the north side in the yellow we have Valdemar also as the HRE, so the true test of player skill, the mirror match. And if you know Age of Empires, you'll know Valdemar. He streams, he also competed in King of the North recently, and he's also got an amazing YouTube channel, so if you haven't seen it, you really need to check it out. It's super educational, loads of great guides and stuff like that, so it's definitely worth doing if you want to improve your gameplay. So let's take a little look at the scouting that's going on and what people are doing. So both of these guys I imagine are going to be going super aggressive. I really like this scouting path for Falcon. This is exactly what I would normally do. Straight across to the other side, trying to get these sheep and then covering up all of this space at the back. If we head over to Valdemar, oh, cheeky. So he's gone for double scout. So this is going to be really interesting then, because as the HRE, a lot of this comes down to how many sheep you can actually get if you want to fast castle, or you also gather up the sheep much more quickly. So now he's denied all of this side from Falcon, and he's getting the other side at the same time. So he's really going to get the lion's share of the sheep here. You can see he's got most of these as well. So this potentially could put Falcon in a bit of a spot, because he's going to run out of food. He has got enough to keep him going until the feudal age, but then he may have to move out onto external resources. Let's take a little look at the spawns, because on Gorge it can be quite important how they spawn and what you can do. So we can see actually a really nice little front wood line that kind of works defensively, which is quite nice for Falcon there. Front gold, really not the best in this matchup, because HRE definitely want to have gold for either getting men-at-arms out or going fast castle or whatever they decide to do. He does have sort of side berries, but he also has sort of a semi-side berries over here as well. So these are pretty good, pretty safe, but the nice back deer over here is really nice. He actually could wall this in and keep that safe if he wanted to. So it looks like for food sources, although he's not going to have the sheep, he might actually be okay. And we can see Archon here drop down, which covers the wood line, also gets the berries, and is going to get the most amount of room for the farm. So I think this is quite nice. Maybe moving it up to the wood line there to allow it to get most of the buff of the wood over there, but you know, I think that's a pretty decent spot. And we can also see that Valdemar is going for the Archon, only aging up with 4, so Falcon will get there more quickly, and you can see that he's gone right up against this wood line, so his wood is going to go there. It does look actually like this spawn has kind of not been too favourable for Valdemar. If we look at the minimap, you can see that Falcon has a huge wood line over here, and Valdemar seems to have been eaten by termites or something on both of these sides. It's a weird little 8 shape. So yeah, his wood over here is at the back, so good for resource gathering, bad for defense. So all of his resources are forward, and look at that, you literally couldn't have a more forward gold. It's way out of TC range as well, so there's no way of defending that with the TC either. We've also got front berries, the front deer spawn, so the food sources for Valdemar and the gold at the moment are not looking particularly favourable. So if we can see the macro at the top, we can see Falcon's got a couple of guys on wood already, so he's gathering up. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Gathering up those straggler trees and waiting for the Archon to go up. So I imagine we're going to see a production building, a barracks. There we go. Dropped immediately. Again, it's almost like I'm psychic, guys. I'm not, I promise. So there we go. So the prelate's going to move in here, and it's going to be able to buff up all of that economy. So if we wait and see, we can see the aura. Oh, we can't see the aura in card. There we go, perfect. So that's going to gather up the TC, that straggler T, and all of this stuff. But Falcon is moving out onto the deer, so while he's not being pushed, moving out on to get that food. So I think that's a really nice move there to try and get that food eco pumping while he can. If we take a look on Valdemar's side, it looks like we got 5 on gold, so we're going to be seeing a fast castle from him, and that tower is the nail in the coffin for that strategy choice. If you see a tower and 5 on gold, it's probably going to be a castle age, and especially using the prelate there to buff up these gold villagers, I think is very key there. So he's also gone double prelate, so that means he can keep 1 in the Archon, and then he's got 1 over here, so he can buff up these gold guys and get up even faster. This could also be a really nice play, because he will be able to get 2 prelates out onto the relics as soon as he's ready for age up, as long as they're not contested, so he could snab those relics up before Falcon even gets chance. We can see the scouts here trying to cause trouble over at the deer for Falcon, and the other scout getting caught out by the TC there. Oh, that's a big loss. So now the one scout for Falcon is down, and we do see a couple of spearmen. They're heading across the map now. We're just coming over, and he's scouted that tower and quickly getting out of range there. The other scout causing mayhem over here, sending that ping. So this is something that I think the kid Valdemar's doing really well now. Just these little attack notifications, it's just so distracting. It's can cause you a lot of problems, and especially for low-level players, it's something that really causes problems. So if you've got a little men-at-arms and you do that rush, you'll often see them burning down the mining camp or burning down a house is also really good value. But this, if the mining camp goes down, yeah, it's 50 wood, but the distraction of those attack alerts is always going to be really useful. So Falcon macroed here. It looks like he's chasing Valdemar up to castle now. 6 on gold and 15 on food over here, including the deer. So it looks like they're both going to be rushing to try and steal those relics. We've got a cheeky spear hiding on the back, trying to find some damage, and Valdemar is nice and safe. Arrow slits on his outpost, and Regnit's going up at just before 6:30, so a really strong time. If we take a little look over at his vision, he hasn't rallied it yet, but I would imagine looking at the relic spawn, it's actually really Valdemar favoured this time. So there's one right in the centre, then we've got 2 which are basically just over on Valdemar's side of the map, and then there's also this back one over here. So literally 4 are basically on Valdemar's side or directly down the centre. So this actually, if he can get out on those, it's going to be really good. And Falcon also going for the Regnits, only aging up with 6, so he is going to be quite a bit slower, also starting 30 seconds later. So these spears, hopefully they're going to be able to contest a couple of these relics. So Falcon definitely needs to keep an eye on the Regnits and keep an eye on these prelates to see where they've gone. So we can see here a little yellow dot. This is exactly what I thought Valdemar would do. He's now sitting, waiting for that relic. As soon as it pops up, he's going to grab it. So let's zoom in, let's watch this. As soon as we hear that little ping, he's going to grab it, and he's moving even closer, ready to get it. Come on, guys, here we go. The anticipation, boom. Now, it might look like something little, but how quickly Valdemar did that just shows the level these guys are playing at, because, you know, a lot of other people wouldn't be able to get that so quickly. He aged up, and within seconds he'd already picked one of the relics up. And we can see here that the scout is going around to see what's going on, and if we take a look, we've got one here, and the other one also has stolen he's stolen Falcon's relic from the back. Oh, that's such a sneaky move. So now that means that if so Falcon is contesting these ones over here. He's just aged up now as well, so we're hopefully going to see his prelates coming over. We can see 2 pink dots, so those must be double prelates, and the spears are going to try and catch it, but I don't know if they're going to be able to take out that prelate before the Wallalol comes off. So I think Falcon's going to have to move out of the way, and double prelate there, so they're both just dodging it there. So now this second prelate's going to heal them up, and he may actually make it home, and if he doesn't, the second prelate is going to grab it and then try and do it. Oh, there we go. Knight coming in, just dodging the brace there. Really nice work from Valdemar. So they braced, he pulled back, they released the brace, and then they did it. But that knight's going to go down. The prelate's going to try and steal the relic. There we go. And the spear now hitting the prelate. Is he going to turn around, or the knight going to get him quick? There we go. Oh, one more hit. Oh, and the spear's down, which means the prelate's also not going to make it. We can also see on the bottom side here on the mini-map that there's a yellow dot chasing the other prelates, so Valdemar knows exactly where those are. So he's got two in hand. He's just getting the 4th one there, and there's one just about to make it home. So both players going for knights, and Falcon also has a couple of spears as well. If we take a look at their bases, we can see we've got the barracks over here, and we've got double stables over where the deer used to be. So it looks like he's going very heavily into knights. That Prelate also getting caught out. Oh, that's a really nice catch there from Falcon. And if we take a little look, there is a knight diving in, trying to get those villagers off that gold. So that's a look at the amount of damage that guy can take. In Castle Age, those knights really don't care about that. We can see the Prelate trying to get out these relics, these guys fighting like crazy, but this is going to make such a huge difference to the eco. Now we're in Castle, let's switch over to the income per minute, because this is where it's going to be really important, because these relics, both with the Regnits, make such a difference to your eco because you get double the resources. So actually this is the equivalent of Valdemar having 6 relics if he gets 3, or 4 relics if you get 2. So if you can manage to get 4, it makes such a big difference overall. Valdemar putting them in these outposts to get extra vision and damage, so he knows exactly what's going on. If we take a little look, he's got, look at that vision, it's absolutely crazy how far these can see when they've got the relic in. He can basically see half of the map from his base, which is just absolute madness. Maybe the forward gold in this case is actually working in his favour. So if we take a little look at the forces, there we go, Falcon using his defensive brigade to get that relic home, just to make sure that he doesn't get sniped out or raided at the same time. We can see Valdemar moving out with his contingent of knights, some of them low health, so Falcon might be able to get a few nice little pick-offs here, because these guys are very expensive. That's the problem with knights. Their mobility is good, the strength is good, but if you don't keep them alive, you lose a lot of value. Valdemar has got 2 villagers down so far, but looking at it, there's only 1 villager difference, so they're still pretty similar on that case. The scout just taken out for Valdemar, and the spears defending those berries really nicely. We can see 3 farms around the Archon, and this is also something I want to be paying attention to, is the amount of farms dropped by both players, because they're both on Archon, both on Regnit, so this is where the eco differences are going to be so important. So we can see also that Valdemar is going for Devoutness, which increases the inspiration for his villagers, so that's going to mean that they get even better building speed and stuff like that, so that's going to help building up those farms. And the knights being chased around, so this potentially could be dangerous. If these knights evade the spears, then Valdemar can do a lot of damage. 1 knight in the wood line there, and that's another villager going to go down, but defensive knights from Falcon there, and the TC firing down. Is he going to escape? Look at that damage, it's just tickling him as he runs away. So if we take a look at Valdemar's side, so very similar on the farms on both guys. Valdemar isn't risking it going out for these deer. I think that's way too exposed, knowing there's knights on the map. We've got the raiding knight being chased over here, and Valdemar's forces being chased at the top. So this looks like it's maybe intentional to keep these forces away from his base while he gets all of his eco set up. So eco-tech's coming in for Valdemar, and this is going to be really important now, because as he goes up, he's already going to imp. This is a fast Imperial there. So we've got 12 minutes and the Swabia is about to go down. Now this is where Falcon's got to be really careful, because this Swabia absolutely prints villagers like crazy. So although they're very even now, Valdemar does have those 3 relics, which when he gets the brain, come on, there we go. When he gets Tithe Barns, that's going to give him loads of resources all over the place, and it's going to mean that he's got loads of villagers around the Archon and all of that stuff. So Falcon forcing out the fight. He's got all the sacred sites now, so that's also going to boost his gold eco, which is really nice. Knights coming around to try and prevent this and do damage while the Swabia is going up. So Falcon knows what's happening now, so I imagine we're going to see a very quick re-macro to try and get to Imperial as well, while also doing damage with his forces. There we go, diving under the TC, trying to get the Swabia down, getting villager kills and all of that stuff. So look at that. So now 6 down. This is where it's going to be really important to do as much damage as possible as soon as the age up's through, because when you see an age up click through, you know your opponent hasn't been using their resources. Let's zoom in and check out what's going. Villagers fighting knights, knights fighting spears. This is absolute insanity. So look at this choke point. These spears getting caught there, but double knights taking them. The spears running around like crazy, pathing going nuts. Prelates inspiring everyone, including the villagers. It's absolute carnage. And also the Swabia now acting as an outpost, shooting arrows flying everywhere, while Falcon's forces are trying to take out all of these. Getting prelates down, that's huge value loss there for Valdemar. if these guys go down, and all of the relics are in the front towers, so these are able to do huge amount of damage. Prelates being popped into the tower there, the outpost, to defend, so really nice work there from Valdemar, because those prelates are so valuable. No prelate in the Archon at the moment, so he's definitely going to want to pop one in there, I imagine, after he's let these heal each other up. So now, that was huge damage. 18 villagers down in a matter of seconds. So now this is going to give Falcon the time he needs to get to Imperial and equalize. So I would imagine that he's also going to be going Swabia, because he's going to have to keep up with those villagers. And the keep landmark is, in this case, just isn't really going to do a huge amount. So his units also on the field, a lot of units out. We got the prelates in the center, which are going to heal up these knights, and this is something that I think a lot of HRE players don't really pay attention to, is if you do this, you can actually keep your villagers and your units alive so much longer, and then it means these knights are getting such crazy value. They've just killed 18 villagers, and now they're going to be healed up. We can see the Swabia being dropped down, there we go, on the backside, and we've got a market there for equalizing the economy, which is always something you see HRE players doing, because when they've got all those juicy relics and sacred sites, they do tend to have a lot of gold. So we can see here that all of the food villagers building that Swabia are trying to get it up, because as you can see, that villager difference in a matter of minutes has just equalized. So once they're both on Swabia, then at least they're going to be on the same footing. If we take a little look, we got Tithe Barns just about to come through, so that's going to be a nice little boost for Valdemar's eco. We've got no military on the field, just prelates, and he's moving these relics around, so into more defensive positions, it looks like, at this stage. And we've got 6 minutes on the sacred timer, so he's going to have to be really careful, because if Falcon can secure those positions, then it's going to be really difficult for him to push. This map is actually quite hard to defend with the sacred sites, so it looks like we're going to be seeing some cannon emplacements out by each of these. I imagine we've got one going up there as well, so that's going to make that Valdemar takes a huge amount of damage if he does go close to them. Eco tech's finally coming in for Falcon. This is going to really help boost up his eco. So yeah, and no military techs for either player at the moment, which I think is interesting. But when they've both been going heavy into knights, the +1 melee and +1 defense don't really do a huge amount. Maybe +1 ranged. The ranged defense is always a good idea. But I imagine we're going to see this, we'll see the cannon emplacement going in, and I would imagine that we're going to see a lot of villagers moving over to the stone in a second to get those emplacements cooking. Valdemar doing a huge tower defense. We can see all the cannon emplacements coming in his base, which is going to mean that his farm eco is really going to be nice and safe, with slow production being added at the front. I really love these little short walls. This is something we'll have a little look at later, but look at these nice little walls, just keeping everything safe, preventing any of those future raids. But there is a little chop through there, so I think Valdemar wants to be really careful that... there we go, he noticed it as soon as it happened, and on the top side we've got a raid coming through just as the walls are going up, and a Wallalol coming in to keep those knights at bay. So what's Falcon going to do? Is he going to circle back? Is he going to get them? This is a really nice pull, so while those cannon emplacements also can do damage, keeping those prelates around. And when you've got multiple prelates like this, if a different prelate grabs the relic, they can also Wallalol as well. So that's a really nice thing. If you've got the micro, you can get 3 prelates, grab one, Wallalol, put it back in, swap prelates. It's a lot of micro, but if you get a couple of units, or you can keep them away from your base just by pressing the Wallalol, that's absolutely huge. Just gone past 5 minutes on the sacred timer, and we can see we've got the defensive emplacements here, and we're waiting for the stone for these cannons. So we've got a tower on each of these to keep vision, all of those getting buffed up with the fortifications, so we can see all of them fortified now. So these are going to be nice little defenses once we do. I really hope we don't see any relics coming forward onto these, although they do help with the damage. We really don't want to be losing those, so that's definitely something we don't want to see. Both players massing up. It looks like we've got spear and hand cannons for both players coming in now, so both of them going for the same composition. More prelates being added in for Valdemar, so it looks like they're both also going for the inspiration. If we take a little look at Falcon's side, we can see whether he has got he doesn't have inspired warriors yet, so that's something that's also really good if you've got an infantry comp, because then they're the same speed as the prelates. If we take a little look over at Valdemar's side, we can see that he also doesn't. It's the only one he doesn't have at this stage. But if we take a look, his full farm eco is really pumping now. All of those farms under the Archon, so his food eco is very nice and strong, almost just hitting 2k. More defensive walls at the front coming up, and I hope Valdemar's seeing this sacred site, because he's going to have to do a push on one of these very, very shortly. The scouts noticing these walls coming in, going to block it. A knight coming around the top to do some damage. So Valdemar going very defensive in this one, so we're going to have to wait and see if he can stop these sacred sites from ticking over. We've got a huge amount of spears and hand cannons coming in. That's going to be quite dangerous for the knights that Falcon has, but he's switched into hand cannons as well. And we've got a mangonel, which is going to be absolutely perfect for this match. If that infantry from Valdemar gets caught under that mangonel, he's going to be in real trouble. Shifting out here onto the stone, trying to secure up these external resources, all those prelates following out with those spears. And the Imperial spears just look amazing if we take a little spin and a look around. Look at these guys. So we can see a fight going on, trying to neutralize this sacred site, but we can see that cannon emplacement is finally in and keeping it going. Just under 3 minutes now on that timer, and we're going to have to see some units from Valdemar coming out, otherwise this is going to be it. We can see the eco for Valdemar is really pumping. He's starting to get ahead with that military, but he's got to push, and he's going to have to take a fight under one of these defensive emplacements, which means it is going to be Falcon favoured, especially with the little mangonel hiding in wait, ready to pounce. We can see the units moving on the north side, so Valdemar knows where he is, but there we go. We've got a tower over here trying to keep Valdemar off these resources, and killing that villager is good, but it's going to let Falcon know where he is. So we're going to see all of the military shifting. There you go. You can see the big swarm coming on this side to make sure that Valdemar can't get over to this sacred site over here. So now Falcon's doing an amazing job of keeping this centre covered by all of his units while he's building up at home. We can see a couple of knights coming in, and although these towers are strong, Valdemar is going to have to be careful that he doesn't take too much damage. So there we go. Look at these knights. They're going to go. It's 21 now. We'll see in a minute how many are left. We can see units streaming from all over, trying to keep all these sacred sites covered. There's a couple of units over here, but not going for the sacred sites, and just under 2 minutes left now. If we take a little look at Falcon's base, he's hoovering up all of this gold on his side, and he's still got these two big golds over here. If we take a look at his base, not as many farms as Valdemar. He's also out on the deer, we can see over here, so he's using some more of the external resources so he can just keep pumping units, adding in more production and starting the classic HRE trail, because as long as they're all connected, all of these buildings are going to be able to get those emergency repairs. So if we take a look now, it looks like the big fight's coming. Is Valdemar going to take it on this central site? We can see Culverin's in, so that's going to be able to counter the siege that Falcon has on the field if he can get it out. If we take a little look, Falcon doesn't have any anti-siege at the moment, so that Culverin could say goodbye to that mangonel, but he has seen it coming and put another Culverin of his own in case. We can see the knights there. They've got another 6 villagers down. Valdemar is setting up for the fight, both of these guys posturing just in the valley of the Gorge, and we're going to wait to see how they clash. The cannon emplacement doing a huge hit on those villagers, and the mangonel coming. Bombard's going to try and take out this tower there, and the Culverin is going to try and hit the siege, but mangonel's being pulled back, and all these hand cannons at the front trying to do damage. And the Bombard trying to take out this cannon. Is it going to get enough damage? There's only going to be a couple more shots. The mangonel moving back now from Falcon to try and stay in a safe position, but it looks like the defensive tower is going to go down. The other tower is just about to finish being built, and the hand cannons there melting all of those spears. Mangonel moving forward for Falcon now, trying to get a hit off, but Valdemar dodging really, really nicely. So Falcon has to keep Valdemar off of this sacred site now, otherwise he's going to be in real trouble, and the sacred timer is going to stop. But he's camping it, he's keeping his units on there, which is fantastic. All he's got to do is last out now until the timer ends. Hand cannons destroying these spears, Bombard doing a huge amount of damage, and villagers trying to put a keep on the centre to get rid of these units. The keep coming up, but All of these hand cannons doing an amazing job. There we go, melting through those units. Prelate's being targeted now to stop that healing, to keep those units alive. So Valdemar's, there we go, his forces are really starting to lack. More villagers being pulled now, got to get that keep up so that the Sacred Site timer can go. But the hand cannons and the spears going to do damage to the villagers. Culverin on Culverin, so the second Culverin is, there we go, that's got rid of that for Valdemar. The bombard is also going to do, the keep is up and units camping on that Sacred Site, but as long as Falcon can keep units there, it keeps the timer in pause, in delay, it's waiting. This is so exciting, we're so close to it. If we quickly pull out, we've got 4 seconds left, oh my god. So we're literally on the last second. We're going to leave it like this so we can see the timer. If these villagers go down, then the timer's going to start again. So 3, 2, 1, and oh my god, Valdemar's on it again. He's just getting anything he can onto the Sacred Site to keep that going. There's literally 1 second left and Falcon gets it. Oh my god, what an absolutely crazy Sacred Site defense. Literally down to the last second of that timer. Absolutely incredible. And here we are back at the final seconds of the match before that Sacred Site ticks over. The Sacred Site timer ticks over. I'm so excited I can't even speak. Let's pause it quickly before the match ends and we can take a little look at the final state of play. So this is a fantastic example of how different approaches in a mirror match can make such a big difference. So fighting over those relics in Castle Age was super important, and Valdemar came out on top with 3 of the 2. But considering Valdemar got there like a minute earlier, Falcon did a great job of defending. So Valdemar was able to steal some of the ones from the bottom side, but the double spawn over here of the relics, Falcon was able to defend even when there was one drop just outside his base. If we take a little look at Valdemar's side, he was playing this quite defensively. He put some of these nice little defensive walls here, so not going out crazy doing huge walls, but just keeping them away from the farm transition there, and then adding in little extra layers once the wood lines had gone down. We also saw some late walls coming across here to try and secure up some stone and some other resources and a market there to equalize, but because Falcon was continually raiding, these walls never actually went up, and in the end up to 72 villagers that went down. So while that big fight was happening, there were knights clearing out all of the villagers over here and doing huge amount of damage. So Valdemar went for the big cannon defense in his base. There's one here, one over here with the relics in to keep all of his farm eco going, and you can see that that worked really well. But if we take a little look over at Falcon's side, we can see he's got quite a lot of farms as well, but he's still out on the external resources. He's over on the deer here, he's shifting up to hoover up this gold on this side. We can see that the boar or the deer on over there is also gone, so he's doing a really good job of getting rid of all of those resources, and he was actually starting to move out over here. So there was one villager building this mining camp, and unfortunately Valdemar hit it, and so then Falcon knew that his units were on that side and was able to shift over. Maybe if they hadn't attacked that, he wouldn't have known. So that's always the thing you've got to think. In this case, when you're trying to get rid of the sacred sites, if you kill a villager, you do let them know at least where some of your forces are. So, you know, potentially quite dangerous. But I think the big thing that happened here was that Falcon knew his win condition. So while Valdemar was going up to Imperial, Falcon knew that was the case. He did that big push in the base and attacked all the villagers around the Swabia all around here, trying to do as much damage as possible. But he also used his prelates to get the sacred sites. And so he saw that as the opportunity, and you could see immediately that towers, outposts were going up on all of the sacred sites with emplacements to try and defend them. And so because it was so close to the timer, Valdemar was forced to come out and fight, and he had to pick a position. So he went for the central one because it's closest to his base, which I think is really the right call, and he was also going for the tower, the keep, to try and force those units to take a worse fight, because being under 2 defensive emplacements from Falcon meant that Valdemar's forces were really getting hit by all of those. And because the anti-siege came in just in time, this little culverin came in clutch, cleared that out, and was starting to work on the bombard as well. But the unit composition change was exactly the same for both players. So in Imperial, spear hand cannon seems like the right play, and we can also see that these university techs just about to go in, so the spear, the infantry there would be even stronger. if we look at the eco techs, Valdemar got his a lot earlier, so I think that's can explain why his food eco was quite good for the majority of the game. Falcon's obviously gone for the 3 wood upgrade, so that means his wood is going absolutely crazy, so then he can do that farm transition even better, I would imagine. And he's got the university techs, but only one of the military techs, so he's been using that gold to produce units, and that really paid off in this case. So an absolutely nuts game. I don't think I've ever seen somebody hold it with 1 second to go, and these guys are literally tip of the top Conqueror 3 players, and it's really exciting to see how they approach these matches. But I hope you've enjoyed this top level play, this really exciting game, and I can't wait to share more with you next time.